What's up, everybody? It's the fly host you love the most, and I'm back with another episode of Fulfilling Life's Yearnings. And today, my special guest is Dan Kraft. Now, me and Dan met roughly right before the new year, and
Yeah.
we're both in this other group with Craig Ballantyne, and Dan was actually looking for people to role play with, and I was like, yeah, that sounds like it'd be a lot of fun because for me, two of my top human needs are growth and contribution, and Dan is someone who wants to grow as well. So like, yeah, this would be a lot of fun to get on with someone else and role play and help out and provide any sort of feedback that I can, because it's one thing that about being in this entrepreneurship space. It gets lonely, but also it's a lot more fun when you can connect with other people who want to do the same things that you want to do. So to bring us full circle, me and Dan have been role playing. It's sales conversations, going over how that all looks like on a phone call or for anything that he's doing with his business. But to bring that full circle, me and Dan had been talking about coming on here and doing a show, because from role playing with Dan so much, I've learned a shit ton about the body and just how you can fix it. If you apply the right techniques, and if you actually have the mind capacity, but also that intuition to know like how to fix certain things with the body. So with that being said, Dan, thanks for coming on today. And I kind of gave that little brief intro right there, but for everyone else who doesn't know about you yet, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Blake. It's a pleasure to be on. So a little bit about me, just to give you the cliff notes. Growing up, I was definitely not a high performer. I didn't think I was really going to amount to anything. I grew up in a dysfunctional family. I had crippling social anxiety. And up to the point where I was even 18 years old, I struggled to hold conversations because I feared the emotional outbursts that mom would have. And so every time I was in an interaction, I'll be bracing.
Mm.
And so it took a long process of overcoming that, and it got into training when I was 12 years old. And from there, it progressed into a love and passion for it, which eventually turned into fixing the body. And that eventually turned into injuries. And so it's kind of gone full circle. I've been through a lot, as we'll talk about in the story. And I just want to say it's really great being here. And I'm really excited to share my message with you.
Absolutely. So that's the one thing I appreciate about you, Dan, right, is that full transparency. You've gone through things, and you realize like how those were impacting you through your development. And the thing about you, right, is you didn't just sit around like, well, I guess that is just what it is. No, you actually did something about it, right? And you actually have this article, I actually read through it, how I beat anxiety and overcame 10 concussions, right? And so
Yes.
went through that whole story, and just to get a little bit more background about you. By the way, I'm gonna post a link for that so you guys can actually go ahead and check that out. I recommend reading it. Just gives you more into Dan's background and where he's coming from with this. So for you, Dan, as far as being in this fitness space and really helping people, transform their lives through what your skill and knowledge set is, like, what's the whole point behind of why you're doing what you're doing?
Well, when I first started, I really just wanted to help people get in shape. And I really just loved the fitness aspect, and I wanted to share that with other people. As I got deeper into personal training, I was working at Equinox at the time. I noticed that a lot of my clients were age 45 to 65 years old, and they couldn't do the typical workouts that I love to do. And so as a result, I had to create strategies to get them to that place, because they had bad posture, they were lacking mobility, they had joint pains, etc. And so I had to invent strategies to get them there.
Mm.
And that became a fun game in itself, because I started to see the things that would throw off a body, why people lose mobility, what would cause their core to get weak, and then how could I do that effectively so I could get them to the fun part as fast as I could. And so that just became a passion and obsession, and something that just kept me super engaged. And for me, I had really bad posture at the time as well. I was really rounded over, and being able to fix my own posture and really getting a new understanding of the body and help other people do the same was really exciting for me.
Yeah, I love that. Right. So for us as high performers and being entrepreneurs, we oftentimes neglect our body because it's always like grind, grind, grind. Let's go. Grind your face off. That's all you do is hustle, hustle, hustle. But when you're doing that, and I'm sure you've experienced this too, right? It leads to burnout. And
Yeah.
if you're not doing the right things for your body to always keeping it at a high performing level, so you can continue to show up. For you, what are things that we can do? Whether you're high ticket closing or you're you know closing for your coaching business, or you're closing to work with clients to help them, and like what you're doing, help them get back to not being injured and being like at their optimal. What are things that we need to be doing to actually put us in a better place to perform, and starting with that self-care? Can you kind of give us like an idea of what we should be focusing on and how we should be taking care of ourselves?
First of all, I think sleep is really important. If you're not getting adequate sleep, you're not going to be performing as well. Your energy is not going to be as good. That's going to affect your motivation, and it's going to affect your performance as well. So sleep is super important. Taking time for yourself, being able to take time and breathe. I do self-care every single day, regardless how busy my day is, how stressed my day is. I always have self-care. And there was a time when I was grinding 12, 14 hours a day. And, I was trying to get clients. I was at a gym and I was just going at it, because that's what you're supposed to do, just to grind, hustle. And I was doing okay, but then I started getting super burnt out. Wasn't sleeping well, or come to work being extremely irritable. And after a few days of this, my manager sat me down and said, "Hey, you can't do this anymore. This is not good for you." And he said, "From now on, from 3 to 5 p.m. every day, you must take 2 hours for yourself. You're not allowed, you're not allowed to prospect. You're not allowed to do any work. You're not allowed to sell. Only thing you do is you can work out, you can take a shower, you can read, you can breathe, but you cannot do any work." And at first I protested. I'm like, "But Franklin, how am I supposed to get everything done if I'm not getting it done in 14 hours? How am I supposed to suddenly get it done in 12 hours?" And he's like, "Nope, this is not a negotiation. This is what you're going to do." And I said, well, I had to give in. And
Hmm.
so 3 days later, after doing this self-care routine, suddenly I felt refreshed. I felt rejuvenated. My energy was back. My happiness was back. And I also became significantly more productive. Taking 2 hours break for myself actually made me more productive, because I noticed that as I got through the day, my brain would start to slow down. My thought process would start to slow down. And it was making me less productive. But taking that break gave me an extra burst of energy. I had more clarity because I had detached from everything. And as a result, I became more efficient, more effective, and essentially more productive too.
I love that. So Franklin actually had to tell you to take that 2 hour break, right? So fast forward to like what you're doing now. What does taking time for yourself look like? You said you make time no matter what's going on to give that time to you. What are you doing?
It can be going. It's usually some sort of workout.
Okay.
At the very minimum, shower steam room, because I absolutely love the steam room and I feel so much better afterward.
Steam room. I'm gonna start trying that one out too. Okay. So we got the steam room, and are you just in there quiet? You got your music in? Like what's your routine in there? Just
I'm not as much of a music person.
okay.
I'm not someone who puts their headphones on all day. And the reason for that is I like to be entrenched in reality. And I
Mm.
want to be able to hear and feel my own thoughts. And so I'll take a shower. What I'll do is like, I'll do a workout, and that could usually it's strength training. I just love doing strength training, hypertrophy work. And then after I do that, I'll go to the steam room. I'll be there for like 10, 15 minutes and just breathing in the air, just kind of letting all the stress and tension go. And then after that, I take a shower, and I take a normal shower. And at the end, I turn it cold. And then I practice breathing in the cold water, keeping myself warm internally. and that helps significantly with stress reduction. By the time I get out of the shower, I'm super energized and ready to tackle on the second part of the day.
I love that. So what's one of the things that you've noticed, right, from, from working with your clients, as far as what, and I guess it has to deal with like, what they're doing throughout their day, but what have you honed in on from working with them, or even when you were, rehabilitating yourself, that oftentimes became like a precursor for why they were getting hurt or injured, like why like things were out of alignment with them? What have you noticed from that?
Basically, I've noticed that two things mess up people's bodies more than anything else: prolonged sitting and stress.
Hmm.
And so your body adapts to the positions you're in the most. So if you're sitting or sleeping in bad positions, then your body is going to hold those bad positions, and it's going to translate into your movements. It's going to translate throughout your day, and over time can contribute to pain. So that's one thing. And stress is super, super important. People are so stressed out. I'm in LA.
Mm-hmm.
People are stressed the fuck out. I mean, this is a hustle type of city. People are working 12, 14-hour days. They're not taking breaks, and it's compounding over time. And when you do, and stress really impairs your ability to think clearly, and it affects your energy. It affects your sleep. And so these people are losing sleep. Their energy is not good, and it's contributing to minimizing the effectiveness of what they're doing. And if they had realized that taking some time to breathe and take care of themselves, even at first, it seems like it would actually hurt their goals. It seems like it'd be counterproductive because you're wasting time. But that extra effort you put toward that will have massive contributions in the long run.
Okay, so when you're talking about like this prolonged sitting and like stress, focusing this number one on the prolonged sitting, what can we actually do to make sure like we're not having these bad habits? Like as a performer, how can we start changing what we're doing so that we're showing up better in our lives and showing up better for our passions, and putting a lot more energy into actually serving people as our best selves?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing is you can have a standing desk. Being able to stand up and move around, you'll find that you have more energy, and you actually, for me, I find that when I sit, my energy drops, and that affects my productivity. So when my energy is higher and I'm able to kind of move around,
Mm-hmm.
it allows me to get more work done and also enjoy the work a little better. That's one thing. Second, if you do sit down, get up every 15 or so minutes. What you can do is you can have your task set for 15, 30 minutes, get that done, then get up and walk around, move around, get yourself loose again, and get yourself back to a normal state. And then once you're there, then you go to your next activity, and then continue doing that cycle. Because when you sit for long periods of time, your energy drops. And when you focus for long periods of time, your energy drops. Even people like Elon Musk, they sit their activities for about 30 minutes, and then they do something else, or they take a break.
Okay. So they're taking breaks throughout the day. Yeah, I mean, for me, I love standing up to it. Like I want to be able to bounce around and move and shake out. I love doing like the I don't know, like Elliot Host. He always has his
The
videos.
bioenergetics.
Yeah, when he's doing like all the bioenergetics and shaking
Yeah.
around and getting loose. So
Oh, it's great.
I love doing that one. So yeah, I
I do
definitely.
that in my morning routine for a good period of time. It was
Oh,
great.
nice. Yeah, and then my favorite my favorite one is when you're. So I love doing that now when I get the whole family doing it, and then like they're like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, just grounding. Don't worry about it.
There was one we did in one of Jason's masterminds. It was called the pterodactyl. And
Oh.
so we go like this, we go, "Gah!"
uh, folks, if you do that in person, people might look at you strange, but so what? It's funny.
Unless you're in Hollywood and no one really
Oh,
cares.
that's true. Unless you're in Hollywood, they might just think you're filming a video or something.
No, they just think it's normal because there's so many weirdos out there that it's just,
In Michigan, they might actually come stop you because no one does anything like that here. It's like, what the hell is going on? Oh my
The one
goodness.
thing I'll say about bioenergetics, what it's really good for, as silly as it sounds, it allows you to be free and to kind of break up that suppressed energy. Because sometimes we're so caught in being this like nice
Right.
professional person.
Yeah.
Doing something as ridiculous as a pterodactyl will allow you to feel more free and kind of get that more fun, happy energy going.
Hmm. Yeah, and I bet, I mean, that definitely applies to, when I'm getting on calls, right?
Yeah.
I love to, of course, do the I deserve this and and the growling and the barking. So I'm still doing that one every single day and screaming, jumping around. And like, I love to be as loose as can be because then on the calls or whatever I'm doing, I just show up free and I'm ready to listen and and provide feedback without being too attached to like what I'm saying or like what that other person is going to say. So like that always works for me too.
And to that point, they did a study that found that you are 31% smarter in a positive state of mind.
Mm.
So when you're more free and more flow, you're able to think more creatively, and you're able to come up with better replies. And you can really compare that to when you watch really elite fighters, whether it be a Muhammad Ali, whether it be Conor McGregor, Anderson Silva. If you notice, they're loose. They're not stiff and rigid. They're
Mm-hmm.
not trying to be the toughest guy. They're trying to be loose because when you're loose, you're more creative. You're able to flow better, and that allows you to handle obstacles more effectively.
So let's actually talk about that. What are things that we can do other than, of course, there's the bioenergetics to be more loose? Because I remember before we were talking about, the NBA and like the athletes and how some of these guys are like super stiff, which is always leading to their injuries. We're not like professional level athletes, typically we're typing and or on the phone or stuff like that. What can we start to get into our routine that'll help us, be more loose or have some more energy or injury prevention?
I'll start with the mental and then I'll go to the physical.
Sweet.
I was like, it's a two-part question.
Okay.
For the mental, I love what Robert Greene said is you want to be formless like water. Water, it always retains its identity, but it takes the shape of whatever it's in. And that's how you want to be in your environments. You want to be adaptable. Being the hard rock is not ideal and won't help you that much. I think a lot of times when people think about like sales, performance, it's just all about just being tough and just pushing through. And you need that stuff, but you also need to be able to flow effectively. If you think of it like, be a good example, even LeBron James has a combination of both, where he can do a crossover, like he can get around you, but he can also truck through you. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to be able to have, you look at someone like a Stephen Curry, very, very fluid, very, very fluid. He's like water, but at the same time, he retains his identity no matter what he does. And that allows him to be much more effective when trying to score the basketball.
Okay.
And so for mentally just being more fluid will be helpful. For the body, you really want to get into a flow state, and you want to be able to simulate the response of a flow state. And when you're in a flow state, you tend to be more relaxed, you're calm. I think everyone listening can imagine a time when they were just in the zone.
Oh
And
yeah.
it wasn't like they were just brutally tough. They were fluid. Like I remember a time where I made 8 3-pointers in a row.
Woo!
It was like a 2-on-2 like PE middle school game. I'm just busting it. And you don't even notice what's happening. It's just like you're just kind of letting it go, and then it's just like flowing. So in order to get in a state of flow, I actually did realize that if I could simulate the physiology of being in a flow state, which is deep breathing, relaxed, then I could actually get into those flow states easier. And so I have a balloon exercise where we do breathing, and even if you just lay down on your back and just do deep breathing, by getting that diaphragm working, you're going to get yourself into a more relaxed and focused state. That's going to allow you to be more loose.
Nice. So actually go ahead and walk us through, like demonstrate that activity. I think that would be really helpful.
All right. I need to find a balloon. It's okay if I walk out for a second?
No problem. So guys, we're here with Dan Kraft. He's actually grabbing his balloon because he's going to demonstrate this breathing exercise.
Okay. I'm going to angle this down a little bit. This is better done lying down, but it can also be done standing up. So I'm going to take this balloon. I don't know if you can kind of see me.
Yep.
All the way. So you're going to take this balloon. You're going to inhale through your nose, and then I'm going to blow into the balloon. Then from there, I have to put the tongue on the roof of my mouth and tighten my core. I have to stop the air from the balloon from going back into my body without pinching it, so I can't use my fingers or my mouth to clamp on the balloon. And then I continue blowing it up. So it looks like this. Right? Like I said, this is better done lying down. And what's really powerful about this balloon is a lot of different things. One is that it allows you to get full expansion, which you'll feel your diaphragm working, and it's going to calm your state down. If you're in a stress state, this will calm you down instantly. It's going to instantly change your nervous system. 2, you're getting more oxygen into your body, which is going to allow you to think more clearly and be more relaxed. And 3, where's it going with this? Mic'd out. Okay, so number 3 is that I am blanking out right now.
No problem. But yeah, so I like that idea of using the balloon, right?
Yeah, I got it. What it does is it creates an external stimulus they have to blow into. Because most people, when they're just breathing, they're kind of just doing it automatically. But when we actually have a system that's really, really tuned and can be used in the right situation. When you are forced to blow, you are naturally going to inhale deeper. And so it triggers that natural breathing, that natural motion of breathing, that full breathing that you oftentimes can't access when you're stressed out. So sometimes telling someone to breathe deep doesn't really work. But if you get them to have to blow into a balloon, they're not going to be thinking about their stress and be focused fully on the balloon, and that will allow them to really breathe in fully and get that breath going.
Oh, okay. So natural breathing using that balloon because it's allowing them to stop thinking and allows them just to do.
All their attention has to be on the balloon. Yeah. So I do this balloon exercise every time before you body work on people. And I can often double or triple their breathing capacity just by doing that balloon twice.
So when you're doing that, what does that then allow you to do when you're doing their body work?
Well, because when you're stressed out, you tend to be really stiff and rigid. This turns off that stress response. And so after they do that balloon, they're suddenly more relaxed. And that makes their tissues feel softer, which makes them more receptive to doing release work. When they're stressed out and they're rigid, they're fighting me all the way. But if I can get them to relax and kind of pre-frame the tissue work in a way, it makes their bodies more receptive and makes my tissue work 2-3 times more effective.
Damn, that's awesome.
That's it. Also, you can use this balloon. I've done this balloon before going to bed, and I fall asleep instantly. Because a lot of times people have trouble relaxing when they go to bed. So if you use a balloon and you trigger that relaxed state, which a lot of people are doing now through smoking weed, through smoking marijuana, then you'll fall asleep easier.
Oh, holy shit. So are you just blowing it up one time or like how long are you doing that for?
I usually do like 2 to 3 times, but what we really want to look for is that state change.
Okay.
And once you get that state change where you feel more relaxed, then you're ready. And this is going to make any type of mobility work you do better. So if you're doing stretching or any type of strength work, your body's going to be more relaxed, which will allow you to get in the positions easier as well.
Okay. Yeah. Guys, if you're wondering, I'm taking notes over here because, Dan is the man. He's got some really good stuff here. So,
I've learned that flexibility is not about the muscles. It's really about the nervous system.
okay.
And if you can get your nervous system relaxed, your body will be more receptive to that flexibility. Because people tell me all the time, they're like, "Oh, I'm just naturally stiff,
What does that mean?
naturally stressed." Because I used to be naturally stiff when I had really, really bad anxiety. And now that I don't have that anxiety, I'm relaxed and my body gets into positions easily. I don't have to work as hard to stretch or maintain that flexibility anymore. Truth is, I don't even have a mobility routine.
Really?
No.
Huh. So for you then, if there's no mobility routine, it's just relax and doing the breathing, and then you can get right into it.
Well, I do my strength training work in deep ranges of motion.
Okay.
So if I'm squatting, going ass to grass, I'll do lateral squats all the way to the bottom. And if you can get strength into that range of motion, your body will keep that mobility.
Oh. So
I don't know if that makes sense to people listening, but essentially, if you feel like you're struggling to maintain your mobility, there's usually two reasons. One, you're putting yourself in positions throughout the day that don't cater to it. Then that could be through prolonged sitting.
mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, your body also wants to protect itself. If you don't have strength or stability or control in a range of motion, then your body is going to resist that because it doesn't want to get injured. But if you're able to add strength in those deeper ranges of motion, the protective mechanisms turn off and your body keeps it.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. So thanks for sharing that. Okay.
That's huge for injury prevention.
Yeah, never heard that before. Okay. So how can that apply to us, right? We're always on the go, and maybe for whatever reason we didn't have the time to get to the gym today, or they're traveling. What are things that we can be doing? Is it just the breathing exercise that really helps us get into that state, or are there like some exercises we can be doing like while we're working?
Balloon would be huge.
Yeah.
I think even just having this balloon will make a huge difference for one.
Okay.
Two, I recommend taking breaks.
Yeah.
It sounds counterproductive, but if you actually think of the break as part of your work, and part of the process, then you'll become more productive. Instead of like, oh, I'm taking a break from work. No, the break is the work. It's what you're doing to make your next stage of work more productive. Then it's going to help you a lot more. And then as far as not making it to the gym or not working out, you just can't make excuses at the end of the day. You got to make it happen no matter what. And so if that means you're in your hotel room doing some integrated mobility work, then so be it. But you got to do something. You got to get yourself moving, get yourself breathing. If you're able to do that, then you'll stay mobile.
Okay. So just to repeat that. So we got balloon. I'm definitely going to go. I'm getting a balloon today.
Yes.
And taking breaks, the break itself is not a break from the work, but that's actually the work itself, and making it happen no matter what. Cool. Very good. So guys, I'm here with Dan Crafts today. Of course, we've been talking about, what are things you can do to ensure that you're taking time for yourself, being able to have that calm state of mind and actually have, better mobility in your body throughout the day. So you're not super stiff or rigid or like in a bad mindset. And like, this is very good stuff for us, especially when, Dan shared that 31%, there's a 31% increase in having a positive state of mind. And so
31% smarter.
Yeah, 31% smarter, exactly. So in being able to do things like that, right? So for us to continue, being our best selves, being able to, fulfill our life's yearnings and serving people at a higher level, these are all things that we want to be doing. So with that, Dan, is there any other things you want to leave us with before we get out of here?
Yeah, I think state control is super important. And if you're not controlling your mindset, then that's going to affect your body as well. Because your brain is your body. Your brain sends the nerves that connect to all your muscles. Everything you think and feel will get translated into your body. And so that's why stress is so important. That's why keep being in the right state is so important. And if you're able to maintain that mental state, it's going to loosen your body up and it's going to allow for better performance overall. And so I'd say be diligent when taking care of your body. You want to be consistent and make sure that you have strategies to manage your stress. Because the reality is, we always think that life just stresses us out.
Mm.
But I see people walking around who look just as stressed as Elon Musk does.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I mean, do you think we have more priorities or more tasks than Elon Musk does?
Nah, I doubt it.
Not at all. So it's really about how you respond to that stress that makes the biggest difference.
Yeah,
And
so true. So true. It's just what we're thinking about up there. So I'm right there with you.
yeah,
And of course, this is fulfilling life's yearnings, and I love asking this question, right? So for you, right, you've gone through, being anxious and having anxiety
yeah,
and going through that and finding ways to get better, and having gone through your own injuries and not really knowing what to do, figuring that out, and like
yes.
pushing forward to be in your flow and in your passion to help other people get out of pain. For you, what would be your definition of fulfilling your life's yearnings?
I think it really goes down to fulfilling your potential.
Mm,
Being clear on what you want and going after it and doing whatever it takes to get it. And that means despite discomfort, despite obstacles, despite any excuses or negative thoughts that come your way. And we are much more capable than we realize. And like I said before, there was a time where I couldn't even hold a conversation, and that's not an exaggeration. People would say hi to me, and I would freeze up, and you'd be lucky to get a few words out of me. That's how frozen in terror I was of conversations. And I just reached a point where I just got fed up, and I say, you know what? I'm just going to put myself out there. And you know what happened? I became the campus weirdo because now people knew about me, and they know. But through that, which helped toughen me up even more. Once I pushed through that beginning resistance, because there's always going to be resistance at the beginning. Once you push past that resistance, things will start to open up. And by the time I graduate college, for the most part, I was pretty socially normal.
mm.
And so it really is just about pushing through that initial resistance. It's going to be there. It's going to be hard. It's going to be painful, but you have to embrace that pain, because I've learned that pain really makes you stronger if you let it. And by embracing that pain, it's going to make you more resistant to adversity down the line.
Yeah, I love it, brother. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. And there's actually something, if I can find it, that I wanted to read that goes right along with it. Let me see if I have it here, because it's really, really good. Oh, yep, there it is. So yeah, just to wrap this all up here, there was this quote that I read that was by Deepak Chopra, and it says, "If you obsess over whether you are making the right decision, you are basically assuming that the universe will reward you for one thing and punish you for another. The universe has no fixed agenda. Once you make any decision, it works around that decision. There is no right or wrong, only a series of possibilities that shift with each thought, feeling, and action that you experience. So that's by
Interesting.
Deepak Chopra.
I've actually never heard that one before.
So yeah, I really like that one because based off of, you know, what you were saying and all the different things that you went through, it all started with a decision. You know what? I don't want to be like this anymore. I'm going to keep moving forward. Right? The first iteration you did it probably didn't work out the best way you could have pictured it. You were the campus weirdo. Okay,
Yes.
whatever. You were like, okay, that's what happened when I did it this way. Let's keep on working on this thing. Let's try a different iteration. Let's keep on figuring it out until like we get it better, right? There's the thing of people are always moving away from failure because they don't want to experience it. But if you look at it how Dan is, right, it's not that it was a failure, it was feedback. Now he made a different iteration. And he made a different iteration. Keeps on going, keeps going, keeps going, and then like, bam. This is how I like it.
You want to get to the point where you're so focused on a goal, like you're going to get there no matter what it takes. And if you're so focused on that goal, then you're not even going to see the failures as failures. You're just going to keep going. And that's what I try to do. I don't try to look at, when I fail, I don't even look at like, oh, I failed.
Mm-hmm.
I just keep going. I just make adjustments. I'm learning how to get it right. And going back to the quote, another good quote that I found was that leaders make decisions and are sometimes right.
Yeah, think about that one.
Yeah. And so it's really just about making that decision. And when I would, address injuries, in clients, we'd try things out. That's what we'd have to do. We try things out. Did that make you better or worse? Okay. If that made you worse, then the opposite will make you better.
Mm-hmm.
And then by getting their feedback and being able to adapt on the fly, I eventually learned that if one thing was wrong, then the other thing must be right. Because you can change course when you make a decision. You're just testing the waters out. And so try things out and then you see what works. And then now I'm at the point where I'm almost always right when I'm doing body work because I've seen these things so many times and I know how things work that I know instantly on a quick read, okay, that's the right thing to do. But it does take time. It takes time to kind of get that base knowledge of these scenarios in order to be good at making those right decisions. But at first you're not going to be good. So you just have to try things out. And then once you get enough feedback and you realize the mistakes you made and what thinking works and what thinking doesn't, then you're going to be naturally making good decisions more often.
Yeah, you're applying the law of compound knowledge, right? You've been doing this for years and you've got plenty of repetitions that are all up here.
400 people.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
A lot. Well over 10,000 hours.
Yeah. And so like if for anyone listening in, right, it's of course we're striving to do our best, but you also have to actually apply it to stuff. You can't just keep on reading and not, implementing and wherever you're at on your journey, it's like, okay, how can I apply this today to what I'm doing? Dan says he's got over 10,000 hours working on people's bodies. It's a lot different if he said, yeah, I've only worked on one and I read, one book, then it's going to take him longer to figure out things. So for him, it really sounds like the key to moving forward and growing is repetition, practice, mixed with the mindset, and also being able to compound that knowledge day after day.
Yeah. And to learn from your mistakes.
Learn from your mistakes.
You have to learn from your mistakes so you don't do the same thing over and over again.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Making the same mistakes over and over again. They're hitting the wall at the same time, same place, over and over again. And eventually they'll break through, but you want to have both. You want to be able to understand and learn and adapt, and also be able to power through. If you can combine both, like you can be like an Adrian Peterson in life, then you're going to be good. And I mean Adrian Peterson, the football player.
Yeah.
Not barring all the stuff that happened off the field.
Exactly. Man, I think that's great. I think That's a really good point to stop it. I've enjoyed having you on, and I really
Yes.
appreciate you for
Uh-huh.
stopping through on Fulfilling Life's Yearnings and sharing with us, what you know. So before we get out of here, where can we follow you? Where can we learn more and see what's going on in your world?
Yeah. So my Instagram is Dan Craft. That's Craft with a C underscore Reprime Fitness.
Mm,
Also, I have a website that is still in the works, but there is a landing page on there, reprimefitness.com. And essentially, the philosophy is that we are primal beings in a modern world, and we are not adapting very well. So we need to be reprimed on how to adapt to this modern day environment. So that's why I go over stress, movements, injuries, posture, pretty much everything we need to know in order to thrive in this modern world.
yeah, that's deep. It's like on some other level shit. It's like third door, third door. Okay. And when we're going to your Instagram, what can we find there? What who should be coming to your page to see what's going on there?
You're going to find a lot of things on injuries. You're going to find stuff on personal training. You're going to find stuff on stress. Really, the goal here is to fill knowledge gaps
Hmm.
that I'm not seeing covered in the industry, because there are a lot of things that I've discovered that I wish was out there. Like when a lot of like, even like through myself with some of the injuries I've been through, I wish there was something out there that could have gotten to that could have got accessed that would have made things a lot better. Like one time I broke my neck in a surfing accident, and I ended up having to do the rehab myself, which happened to entail a lot of stress management because all the anxiety I had was throwing my neck out of balance. It was actually making my neck worse. And I wish there had been some resources that would have helped me, because I know there are people going through the same thing. And so my goal is to educate people, empower people, change their paradigms about training, health, and fitness, and get away from some of those bad mainstream beliefs. Because if we can get away from the mainstream stuff and focus more on what really matters and the real knowledge, then we're going to be a lot more empowered to be able to do more.
Mm. And what's the big mission? I know you said it before, and I read it in your article, but just to leave us off
My,
with that, what's the mission?
my mission is to get 10 million people out of pain. It's a big mission. I want to change the way injury treatment is done, because I've had a lot of bad experiences with physical therapists and chiropractors and a lot of practitioners who are supposed to know what they're doing. And I realized that the mainstream generally isn't that good, and they're outdated. And there's really you only find like specific practitioners in each industry that are really on their stuff. And so what I want to do is I want to get more of that new, more recent, modern information out there to the world so that people can digest that knowledge. There's too many great practitioners who are so obsessed with the practitioner aspect that they're never good at marketing, and thus their message never gets out. And so I'm honing down on the marketing too, so I can be versatile in that way. I can have both the expertise needed to give people real results, and also have the ability to get the exposure to get that message out there, so we can help the whole community and the whole world.
I love that vision. All right, guys, I'm Blake. That's Dan Craft. We're here on Fulfilling Life's Yearnings. Thank you for joining us today. And until next time, I love you. Go out there and be fly.
Yes. Take care. Have a good one.